Dubai to the world. My name is Atousa Aslaminezhad from Henriette University, and I'll be presenting the paper that I co-authored with two of my colleagues, Professor Dr. Henriette Bier and Max Latour, under the title of Developing New Pop-up Architecture Models by Means of Computational Design and Robotic Production. As a start, basically enhanced ways of adaptation and contextualization of architecture were initially considered. Then I started looking at the most basic typology, which was typology of housing, which was the house itself. Housing is increasingly a challenge, and the most basic component of it is its enveloping. Its most basic typology goes back to basic shelter, tent, enclosure, or the so-called habitat. Then I decided to focus on the life cycle of habitats as a process, from planning and design all the way to construction, deployability, operation, deconstruction, etc. on it. And of course, with a key focus on responding to technology such as robotics and AI. So the key lens of this research is on emergency response. When you have earthquake happening or any other type of emergency, how would you respond to that with this topic? So I looked at some case studies where pop-up habitats are being fabricated, operated, and assembled with the use of computational design and robotic fabrication methods. As you can see in the images on the left-hand side, it shows an enveloping model for pop-up structures using weaving by the robotic arm, where in the right-hand side, it's actually showing Galley's master's thesis at TUD, which is proposing design to manufacturing and assembly methods using robotic arms to fabricate houses for redevelopment of settlements in post-disaster situations. Well, historically, throughout the 20th century, we have seen envelope and enclosure experiments across a wide design spectrum and scale, from Archigram's Walking City as a technology-rich mobile alternative to more contemporary examples of houses on Mars developing experimental design alternatives which rely on production, reproduction of typologies, technologies, etc. on it. So the process is actually, excuse me, is actually developed and being improved in Robotic Building Lab at TUD. And the equipment in the lab links computational design with robotic fabrication and operation. The lab is equipped with KUKA robot, computers, and various sensor actuator systems, allowing us to explore the integration of robotic systems into physically built environments and building processes. We also implemented several additive manufacturing experiments wherein we 3D printed the nozzle and customized the materials. Here is the ongoing funded project by the European Space Agency, RESUME, in which a team of TU Delft researchers and students developed, in collaboration with industry partner Vertico, a Mars habitat. An example of pop-up with 3D printing approach developed so far, which involves a Voronoi-based material and architectural design. The habitat is to be 3D printed in empty lava tubes on Mars. The idea is that basically a swarm of autonomous mobile robots scan the cave, mine for in-situ resources, and with the excavated regolith that is mixed with cement-based materials, 3D prints the habitat by means of design to robotic production and operation. The 3D printed habitat is a structurally optimized porous structure with increased thermal insulation properties due to its porosity. So here in this video, you can see how that geometry is being printed as layer by layer process. Obviously, prototyping is one of the key factors of such projects. So the first two prototyping sessions presented considerable differences between the digital model and the 3D printed fragment. One of the main goals was to identify how the cell sizes, the robotic setup, and the material relate to each other and react, basically. Cells which have not been printed well because of their size indicate the size threshold that needs to be considered. Well, the project is work in progress, but it already indicates the potential of design to robotic production for developing innovative design for pop-up architecture. This is another design to robotic production and operation project for an interactive urban furniture, which focuses on the development of parametric design for robotically 3D printing urban furniture using materials as wood-based biopolymers. And the design takes functional, structural, material, and operational aspects into its account. As a process, we follow some sort of a workflow where we study and analyze the structural capability of the design proposal through digital platforms such as Rhino, Grasshopper, using Caramba, etc. on it. So when the structural analysis proves the equilibrium and stability of the form, a Voronoi-based design is being applied and tested on the base geometry, starting with point clouds, adjusting their density, dispatching them, optimizing them based on distance, direction, function, material, etc. And finally, the composition of the 3D Voronoi cells will be oriented on printing bed to create an appropriate tool path for contoured layers to be printed with KUKA PRC. The research hopes to continue the technological process with possibly integration of AI and human-robot collaboration in the production process, as well as the operation of environmentally controlled pop-up housing units. The interaction between the environment and the human and non-human agencies basically requires definition in terms of identifying tasks that are automated and tasks that are more reliable on HRC, or the human-robot collaboration, versus tasks which remain in human control. Lastly, I would like to end the presentation with an artistic visionary collage I made for representing the idea of pop-ups in emergency situations, which would be my PhD focus for the next 4 years at TUD. Challenges of production in situ remain to be addressed, in particular with respect to the sensitivity of robots towards the environmental changes, as well as their autonomous operation in unstructured settlements and environments. So this is just the beginning of the journey. And I would like to end the presentation here, and thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.